Thank you all for being here. My name is Jack Towers. I am AIM's Farm and Food Business Resource Manager, which means I oversee our small business support programs, including our technical assistance and education programming, which includes these virtual webinars as well as periodic in-person educational events. So I'm super excited about today's presentation. We have our Zero Waste Fellows joining us to speak about our plastic bag ban, which is part of our minimal waste initiatives, which is some of the value aligned work that AIM does to maintain our focus on sustainability in our markets. And I will turn it over to them to introduce themselves.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. My name is Bella. I am a Zero Waste Fellow here at AIM, as Jack introduced, and I'll pass it over to Andrea.
Hi everyone, I'm the other Zero Waste Fellow. My name's Andrea, and thank you all for being here today.
We'll be talking a little bit about the plastic bag ban as well as offering technical assistance, looking at what AIM has been doing to support its implementation, as well as highlighting some of the educational initiatives and resources that we have for farmers looking to get into compliance with the ban.
So just to get started really quickly, a brief overview on what the plastic bag ban is. So the plastic bag ban policy is a policy written by the Zero Waste Fellow team that was voted on last December and passed unanimously by AIM's board of directors and was implemented starting this past January 2026. So the policy goes that the plastic bag ban prohibits all market participants from distributing single-use plastic bags of any kind at all 9 AIM farmers markets, and this includes bags that are made from plastic and bioplastic regardless of labeling or certification, which we will get a bit more into later in the presentation. And if market participants do choose to provide bags to customers, they must be reusable, compostable, or recyclable, such as paper or canvas.
So you might be wondering why ban plastic in the first place. It might be a little obvious, but plastic does pollute. It does not break down. It contaminates the soil and water that's used to grow the food that we eat, with toxic chemicals. And something that was surprising to me when we were doing research about the impacts of plastic in California and just how often plastic bags are used is that in California, over 500 million plastic bags are used every month for an average of 15 minutes each before getting discarded. And so this is relevant to AIM specifically because a policy like this, we're hoping that it upholds AIM's goal of creating more equitable and healthy food systems in a more sustainable environment by reducing the amount of plastic that's distributed, that's going into our environment. And oftentimes, farmers markets are sites where people are getting the freshest, healthiest produce that they can get in their communities. And a lot of times people will bring their own bags. And so we hope to sort of encourage that cultural shift by banning plastic and encouraging people to rethink the sort of things that they are bringing to the market. As for the implementation period, the plastic bag ban has been split up in 3 phases, the first of which starting in January, where Andrea and I were focusing on doing outreach and education both to customers and vendors. This was more of a strongly encouraged phase where we were hoping to jumpstart a cultural shift by encouraging single-use plastic bags to be reduced and preparing vendors and customers for this shift. The next phase that we moved into starting in January was more of a technical assistance and compliance checks where we had the hope that all farmers markets participants are in compliance with the plastic bag ban as defined in an approved policy. And with this, we have been rotating through all the different markets, going to vendors, talking with them, seeing what sort of support we could offer to help get them on the path towards compliance, as well as doing that customer-facing outreach to really hone in on why the plastic ban is happening, when it started, and encouraging folks to bring their own bags. Currently, we are in phase 3, starting in this July 2026, and the primary focus of this phase is compliance and enforcement. And so, with this, having given market vendors about a 6-month time frame to be aware of the change to phase out plastic bags. We're moving into more of addressing market participants who are not in compliance and monitoring plastic bag distribution. And we'll talk more about that later in the presentation.
Thank you, Bella, for sharing that overview. So now to get into more specifics on which bags are considered acceptable or unacceptable under the bag. On the left-hand side over here, you can see that the bags that we will accept at these markets must be reusable, recyclable, or compostable, such as paper or canvas. So vendors that we've seen in compliance have been providing paper bags or reusable bags that are not made out of plastic. As you can see here, we also have mesh bags listed as acceptable. And we do actually have both mesh bags and canvas bags available for purchase at Ames info booths at all of the markets. So if you want to direct customers to the info booth to buy reusable mesh or cotton bag or canvas bags, we have those both available. And on the right side over here, you can see bags that are considered unacceptable. So we will not accept any bags that are single-use plastic bags. This includes rolled plastic bags or bioplastic or green compostable bags. So we won't accept rolled bags, plastic handled bags, or bio bags at our markets under this ban. And in case you have not already received the resource guide that Bella and I have been handing out at some of the markets, we have compiled a list of various bags that are considered acceptable and where to purchase them from. We tried to find numerous different vendors that are hopefully local, and we tried to find options that are a bit cheaper. So this guide includes paper bags, canvas bags, mesh bags, other sorts of reusable bags of all different shapes and sizes. So please feel free to scan this QR code over here or type this link into your browser, and you will be able to find this resource guide and use it. And Bella and I are also more than happy to help you with more specialized assistance if you are looking for something more specific to fit your needs and the produce that you are vending.
Great. So thank you, Andrea, for going over those resources. So to tell you a little about the ways that AIM has been supporting this initiative, Andrea and I have been the team behind the rollout of this policy. And so we rotate through different markets and we do tabling and outreach where we talk to customers, educate them about food preservation, why plastic bags are being banned, encouraging folks to bring their own bags. Another initiative that we have at all of our markets is the bring a bag, take a bag stands that we have. And so this is an initiative where folks can donate excess bags that they have, and people who forget their bags in the market are able to just grab one for free. So we're always having people donate and borrow, and it's been really well received across the board. Another thing that AIM has at its info booth is that we sell tote bags and mesh produce bags. Those mesh produce bags are only $3 each. When we first rolled out the ban, we gave away hundreds of them across our markets to promote awareness about the plastic bag ban and to let people know that these are available at all the markets. And another thing that we have primarily for our vendors is this technical assistance form where vendors are able to reach out to us directly, let us know what issues, challenges they're having, and they're able to contact us, and Andrea and I work with you to create a specialized plan and way to compliance with you. So those are a little bit about our support initiatives. We also wanted to spotlight some farmers. Many of them were able to make it today to speak on their relationship with the plastic bag ban, but we were at Newark a few weeks ago and we got some quotes from some of the farmers there who have been doing really great things with the plastic bag ban. So one of our farmers that you can see here is Ashley Vang. She's the owner of Top Produce. And as you can see, she's done a great job with having signage and about the plastic bag ban, where we're encouraging people to bring their own bags, but also she's really gone above and beyond and provided baskets for her customers. A lot of times people will talk about that it's hard for the heavier produce to be held in like a paper bag. So having baskets like that like can then be brought up and then weighed and then put into a reusable bag that the customer brings has been a great solution that she's been showing. And I can read a little bit of what she was saying about the baskets, where she said there's been a bit of a learning curve with customers getting used to the baskets, but now they expect them and they use them. They've been really persistent in keeping them, but it's been hard when other vendors aren't complying with the ban, which is a challenge that we would like to address across all of Ames markets when we have folks who've really been going above and beyond to make the plastic bag ban work for them, but other vendors haven't necessarily been in compliance, which makes the time and energy spent by those who are in compliance, it can feel a little frustrating for them. I'll pass it off to Andrea to spotlight some of our other farmers.
Thank you, Bella. So another farm vendor that we are spotlighting is Rodriguez Brothers LLC at Newark. And they shared with us that they've actually found that the plastic bag ban has, in a way, made vending easier because they have not had to bag. I think they were talking specifically about their strawberries. And when things get really busy, they've actually found that it's quicker to not have to be responsible for bagging the berries in plastic bags, and they've been able to just get customer turnover more quickly. And they also said that over time, customers have gotten used to the plastic bag and that they understand. So although it's definitely changed as a big adjustment, people do eventually get used to it and get used to the change and are understanding. And another vendor that we're spotlighting is Avila Farms, who similarly also said that customers are getting used to the ban and are actually now asking for paper bags. They even said that people have started to bring their own bags, which is a great change to notice, and what we're hoping to achieve through this policy. And they also shared that this ban is important because we have to protect the earth, the ocean, and the ocean's creatures because plastic ultimately ends up in the ocean and hurts the creatures that eat it. So I think it was beautiful to see that connection, connecting our actions at the farmers market to the broader ecosystems and understanding that all of our actions are connected and connected to the earth and the earth's health, and kind of grounding this policy in bigger change that we want to see in the world.
So some of you might be wondering about enforcement as the plastic bag ban has been more enforced with market managers having conversations with vendors and with Andrea and I checking in. But we've received direction from the market director, Darian, and upper leadership that in the coming weeks, AIM will be reaching out directly to market participants who are not yet in compliance to have a more deep conversation about barriers, to answer questions, and identify a path toward compliance. Our goal isn't to penalize farmers, but rather to work collaboratively with all vendors to achieve compliance. Andrea and I will be part of that process and helping identify that path towards compliance. But um, non-compliance that's continued after multiple outreach efforts may result in further review by AIM leadership and is a factor that will be considered in the 2027 application renewal process. I can then speak a little bit about FAQs. Andrea and I have compiled about a few different questions that we get a lot, namely the first being why are bioplastics or compostable plastic bags not allowed? And that's a question that we get from both customers and vendors. But the simple answer is that bioplastics are not accepted in compost streams in Marin and Alameda counties. They actually don't break down in the commercial composting facilities in the amount of time that the compost turns over, which then contaminates the compost and it makes it unable to be sold to farmers who want to use it for compost. So by reducing the amount of bioplastics that are distributed, we're able to make our compost streams cleaner and then have that compost not be contaminated so that farmers can use it. It's not specifically banned in San Francisco, but to maintain consistency across all A markets, we're having it be prohibited just to maintain consistency and clarity. There's also, we also get a lot of questions about if there's exemptions to the plastic bag ban, and yes, there is. They are allowed when required for food safety and regulatory compliance, including for like meat, poultry, and seafood vendors. So, obviously, if you have a bag of ice and it's a paper bag, that will just fall. So we do allow plastic for ice, with meat and seafood vendors. And then the other part of this exemption is that plastic bags used for offsite packaging or transportation are also exempt. So if your produce or if your product comes to the market already in plastic packaging, that is an exemption. Another concern that comes up frequently is food preservation and durability, and that's something that Andrea and I both work actively to address. We often will share food storage tips with customers to help maintain freshness without plastic and to avoid food waste. And those are materials that we have that we're more than happy to share with vendors if you were to want to distribute those as well. We also suggest that, that breathable, reusable bags like mesh or muslin and naturally waxed paper bags can work well for a lot of products in reducing their or improving their freshness, but a lot of food preservation happens when the produce gets home and the purchaser just knows how to store their food correctly to reduce spoilage. Another question that we get is, do we have to charge for paper bags? And the answer is that is no. We do not require there to be any charge for paper bags, although vendors may choose up to their discretion whether to charge a fee to offset the costs and encourage reuse. And to speak a little bit more on that, in 2025, California passed, or in 2025 and in 2026, California passed two laws that um, require grocery stores to charge 25 cents for paper bags. And with that law being passed, a lot of people have actually started to bring their own bags to the market. So there is evidence that charging for bags will encourage people to bring their own when there is that financial incentive to save money and use one of the many bags that people often will have at home.
Thank you, Bella. Here are a few more questions that we have been asked throughout our time at the markets. So some people wonder how they should store berry trays. So these are like the trays of like 3 berries. And we have been recommending that people buy paper bags that are a bit longer, like sandwich or bread bags, and then slide the berries into the bread bag like horizontally, as if you would slide, like the same way you would slide a loaf of bread. And if you buy bags that are slightly longer, you can then roll them to kind of close them and avoid spillage of berries in transportation. And Bella and I are again more than happy to help you find bags that have the correct measurements for this, for your berry trays if you need support in finding that. So another question that we get often is, what can I do to phase out my existing supply of plastic bags if you already have a lot of orders of bags? So we have been recommending that people store a roll of plastic bags behind their counter if they absolutely must have plastic at the market. So to store a roll behind the counter and to only distribute it upon request. We found that when people have rolled bags out and available, people are more likely to just take a bunch of bags because they're easily convenient and like within reach. But so we've been asking people to put them behind the counter, and then once you get rid of your plastic bag inventory, to not continue to buy more plastic bags and to instead opt for buying paper bags or other sustainable alternatives. Um, so in a similar vein, what to do if a customer asks for bags, you can keep, or we are saying that you can keep a roll of bags behind the counter for use in special cases and by request only, and to remind customers of the plastic bag ban and to remind them that they can get bags from the Ames bag station, the Bring a Bag station, Leave a Bag station, or that they can purchase mesh bags or canvas tote bags from Ames info booth. Um, and another question that we have gotten is if this ban applies to hot food or prepared food vendors. And the answer is yes. If you're selling prepared food, and putting it in a bag for your customer, it must be paper and not plastic. So now we would love to open up the floor for questions. If anyone has any questions that they would like to ask now, we would be more than happy to answer. And we're also happy to continue taking questions in our technical assistance forum as well.